Hi Joe, how you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. What's the sort of thinking now in terms of your selection? I mean, obviously you've got options there, which is nice to have, but is there also a temptation to go with the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Absolutely, there's a temptation to do that, but luckily we're in a position where we're going to name the same squad, so the same squad of 14 as the last game, and we still need to hear a little bit more and know a little bit more on where Ben's at. Unfortunately, because of the weather today, he wasn't able to bowl outside, so we probably have to wait on that throughout tonight and make a decision in the morning. But what we have got with that squad of players is we've got a number of different options we can go down and feel that we've got everything to cover the conditions and the pitch, and whatever that throws at us, we feel like we'll have an answer.
Obviously, as far as Ben's concerned, that is pivotal, I suppose, isn't it? Because then you decide whether or not you go with a certain number of seamers or have him as a bowler or just keep him as a batsman. But again, a nice sort of position to be in, really.
It's a fantastic position. You know, you look at how we were forced into making a slight change in terms of balance of side with Ben able to bowl in the last game and see how well that worked. So to know that with that being the case and know that it works and know that we have had success with it does fill everyone with a lot of confidence, and know that of course Ben being able to do everything that he can do is huge for this team, and it shows how pivotal in terms of balance of side. But if he's not fit, then we have other options and different ways we can go, and a number of guys that are putting in fantastic performances, especially our seamers.
And do you feel as if, having played a Test series now under these conditions, that does give you a little bit of an advantage, despite the fact that Pakistan are more used to playing behind closed doors than probably most others, and the fact that they've been a bit of a bogey team for England in recent years?
Yeah, we know that they're a very good side. They've come over here since 2008, and we've been unable to win a series, here and abroad. So we know that they're a very difficult side for us to play against, and that they've had a lot of success in English conditions of late. So they've got some fantastic players. They've done some special things here, but we're playing some very good cricket at the minute, and we're full of confidence. We're playing as well as we have done for a while. We are used to playing in this environment, as you mentioned, having 3 games under our belt now as a team, and feel we're starting to emulate our game plan more consistently. And that the challenge for us will continue to keep trying to nail that as much as possible, to keep looking to get better at doing that over and over and over again, become more consistent. And we've got a big focus on starting well this week. You know, as mentioned, we're all very aware that in previous series we've not got off to the best starts. And we've been 1-0 down, and we want a real focus this time round of trying to get a win early on and then drive the series from there.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, Fraser. We'll go with Rory Dollard, Press Association, please, and then Sam Ellard from TalkSport.
Joe, is it fair to say with the family situation at home, you haven't been spending 24 hours a day pondering the makeup of your 11?
Yeah, in between changing nappies, and it has popped into my mind a few times. But you know, it was so nice for everyone to get home. I think spend a bit of time in familiar surroundings, around loved ones, and to get refreshed. I think this environment can take a lot out of you mentally, and to get that little reset and a chance to get home was massive for everyone. And, you know, you look around the group now and feel that everyone's gained a lot from that, and feel that they're ready to go again. So in terms of selection, I couldn't be happier to have so many headaches, to be honest, and for us as a side to have so much strength and depth in a number of areas now is really pleasing, and long may that continue.
In terms of Ben and trying to work out where he's at, is it harder with Ben than with some? Because, you know, just looking at the way he hairs after a ball off his own bowling when you've got 4 or 5 slips in, it's kind of hard to work out where he's at physically, I imagine, because his answer is probably always 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's like telling him after 9 overs on the bounce not to bowl. Try and take the ball out of his hand is very difficult. He's so committed to the team and to the cause that he will always put his body on the line. And it's, I suppose, the more he's played and the older he's got, the more mature he's got, he has got better at understanding that there are limitations to what he can do sometimes, even though those limitations are probably further for him than a lot of other players. He's definitely matured in that aspect and knows how important he is within our group, and what an asset he is moving forward. And he's definitely getting better at looking after himself, and I think it's really important that we look after him well as well.
Okay, Sam, please.
Hey Joe, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Sam?
Good, thanks, Joe. Joe, what different threats do you think Pakistan will pose compared to the West Indies?
Well, I think they've got a very talented bowling group, similar to the West Indies. They've got some very good seamers and some experienced leg spinners as well within the squad. So there'll be different challenges, ball spinning away from the bat for the right-handers for one. And the seam attack, it'll have a slightly different makeup. You've got left arm angles within their squad. Some raw pace and some young talent that we won't have seen and come across before in Test match cricket. And then you've got wily campaigners like Mohammad Abbas, who's proven on previous tours here and in county cricket that he knows the conditions very well and will look to exploit some lateral movement. So in terms of their bowling, we know that they pose a lot of challenges, but we're very aware of that and we'll look to counter that the best we can. And I think it's really important for us. We're aware of everything that they'll have and throw at us, but ultimately we continue to keep looking at our own games and our own plans and find ways of making big scores.
Josh Buttler got some runs in that last Test match, Joe. I know you've spoken about how he's looking good at the nets, and you've always been confident that he's going to start delivering for England. Do you think that could now maybe be the key moment for Josh? That he got some runs, and that now is his time to finally start, consistently delivering for England with the bat?
Yeah, I hope so. I really do hope so. I think, as been mentioned before, he's one of those players that a lot of the time, in recent times anyway, he's coming in situations where he has had to be very selfless. And he's always someone that will put the team's best interest first and try and play that situation that's in front of him. And you've seen it countless times him do it in white ball cricket. It is slightly harder probably in Test match cricket to play that aggressive roll down the order with no restrictions and limitations on fields and how wide you can bowl and stuff like that. So to get a gauge of how much margin for error bowlers had is a lot tougher. But I feel like he is someone that is playing some really good cricket and practicing extremely well. He just has to put that out into the middle now. We all know what talent he is. It's for him to now go out there and do that out on the field.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, John Etheridge and then Will McPherson, please.
Joe, hi. You probably haven't finalised the 11 yourself, so you're obviously not going to give us too many clues, but is Stuart Broad going to play tomorrow?
Yeah, Stuart will probably play tomorrow, yeah.
Okay. Are you keen to play at least one of the quicker bowlers, at least one of Archer or Wood?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you want that balance of attack. That's something that we've looked at in the past. I know you're trying to pick the team for me right now, but we will weigh everything else up tomorrow when we have a bit more information on Ben, on the pitch, everything else. But I think you can quite clearly see that that's something that long-term we're looking at, is we want that extra bit of pace, that variation within our bowling group, and feel that around the world that gives us a lot better chance of taking 20 wickets consistently. So it's very exciting when you see guys like Woody and Jofra, the ability to bowl over 90 miles an hour, and you can fit that in with guys like Stuart, Jimmy, Sam Curran, Wokesy, a number of different skills. When they all come together, they complement each other extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, if Ben plays as the all-rounder and he plays spinner, but it's going to be hot, apparently. You're looking at Anton or Wokes, one of those. It's a tough call, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very tough call. It's a really tough call. So it's an exciting thing as well. You look at the amount of great players that are performing very well at the moment. It's, you go into the game full of confidence as a team, as a captain, and you feel like you've got a really good chance of taking 20 wickets and winning the Test match.
Yeah, I mean, you said a few times that it's a good headache to have, but does it actually become a problem at some point? It does mean that you're always going to have two or three high-class bowlers not actually playing and do be a little bit hacked off at not playing.
Yeah, but again, that's all part and parcel of professional sport, unfortunately. And if we want to be the number one side in the world, we're going to have a battery of fast bowlers and a number of guys that can come in and perform at any given stage, especially if we're playing back-to-back games within series. It's really important that we have options and that we can rotate our bowlers if guys are a bit sore or have pulled up a bit stiff and have a slight injury concern. So I think for the longevity of this team, it's really important that we continue to keep looking after our bowlers. We make smart decisions at the right times, and we'll get judged on that through results. But it is tough, but it's a good tough.
Okay, Will McPherson, please, and then Nick Holt.
Joe, have you got some good memories of playing Pakistan at Old Trafford, and where do you think your batting is after that West Indies series? Do you feel this setup that you've got with Rory and Dom is sort of really protecting you nicely now?
Yeah, I do think that I think they've started very well as an opening pair. I think you include Zach in that as well. I think they've had very promising starts to their careers, and I thought in the last game, that second innings, they laid a platform for us to then dictate the terms later on, and played it really well, along with how Dom's played the first innings, the game before. It was setting up really nicely, and they're looking more and more consistent as time goes on. So you got Dom making big hundreds, Rory being consistently getting 50 throughout the last series. It's an exciting place to see that coming from the top order, and it's something that we've not had for a while now, and it's great to see young guys coming in and really grabbing those opportunities and trying to cement those spots down. So yeah, it's exciting from that aspect going into this series.
Nick Holt, please.
Hi Joe. What do you know about Naseem Shah? Have you spoken to any of the Aussies or anyone who's faced him?
I haven't spoken to anyone about him. I've watched a lot of footage. Very exciting prospect. Looks like he's very skillful, got a bit of pace. So, you just have to get out there and try and gauge it. You don't really know. I mean, you can speak to people as much as you want and watch as much footage. Until you get out there and you get a feel for it, you don't really know what you're up against. So it's important that we just start well as a group against him and individually. Know what he's going to try and do, or try and have an idea of what he's going to do beforehand, and play every ball on merit.
Okay.
Chris Stocks, please.
Hi, Joe. Even if Ben's only able to play as a specialist batsman again, I just wondered, do you think in terms of Pakistan there will still be a fear factor there in terms of what he can do to them in this Test match?
Yeah, no, I think even if he doesn't start the game, if we were to go the same balanced side as we did in the last game, for example, it might be that he could bowl in the second innings. So we might see him at some point throughout the game. We just need to make sure that we're very clear on where he is physically. But of course, I think you look at how he's performed, with the bat alone, and what he can do in the field. I think it's quite evident that he poses a huge threat against any side at the moment. That the runs that he's scoring and the way he's playing, and the different methods that he can play as well. You look at he can absorb pressure for long periods of time now. He's shown as well that he can score at 10 and over. So I'm sure that sides around the world will look at him as a batter alone and think, this guy's a serious player and we want his wicket, because if he gets going and he gets in, he can really hurt.
Thank you.
Okay, Julian Gaia, and then we'll take 3 questions from the Pakistan media.
Hello, Joe. I think excluding the Ireland match, it's now 5 series in a row where England have lost the first Test. Are you sort of able to put your finger on it for what's caused the slow start? And do you accept that if given you're now coming into this series on the back of 3 Tests, that there's sort of less reason to have a poor start?
Yeah, it's something that we want to get right this week. I mentioned that earlier. It is disappointing. It's always hard work when you feel like you're behind the game within the series, and we want to make sure that we start well this time round. Fortunately, we've got 3 games under our belt coming into this, and we've played some really good cricket in the last 2. So guys are up to speed. We're we're familiar with the rhythm of Test cricket, and there is no excuse really going into this week. But it's something that we want to get right. We're very aware of it, and I think more importantly, we just got to make sure that we play the conditions, the situation, what's in front of us, well for long periods of time, as we did in the last 2 games.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take some questions from the Pakistan media, starting with Amir Hussain, then Saeed Haider.
Oh, hi, Joe. Thanks for taking my question. The only thing I wanted to ask you is that obviously England have played 3 test matches so far in this summer. Pakistan will be coming up basically just on the interest day. Do you think England have an advantage there on Pakistan just because of match matches?
One second, I couldn't quite hear you there.
Sorry. I'll repeat again. Sorry. My question. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. My question is, given that England have already played 3 test matches against West Indies, do you think you have an advantage over Pakistan in terms of match time?
Yeah, I think so. I think that naturally, having played some more cricket, some competitive cricket, some high intense test cricket will definitely serve as well going into this series, and probably gives a little bit of a head start. I think obviously as well playing in our own conditions and having good success at this ground and the previous 2 test matches will fill our group with a huge amount of confidence. I think it's really important that we don't take that for granted, and we're very aware that Pakistan are a very talented team and will be very much up for this series. And we don't sort of stroll into this game. We're very much on it from the start. But I do feel that should play in our favour slightly, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Joe, hi, Joe. My question is, in the past we saw the top order of Pakistani team collapsed while Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad bowling. So what is your expectations for tomorrow's match? Who's your first option in your bowling line?
Well, it depends on the side that we come up with, doesn't it? I think one thing that we have got is we've got a number of guys full of confidence and that'll be, extremely excited about getting out there and performing again. You mentioned Stuart and Jimmy, 2 high-class players. One just taken 500 wickets, Jimmy 11 away from 600. So it's a very exciting time for those 2 and for Chris Wokes to come into this game off the back of, or the next game if he was to play, off the back of a 5-fer. And Jofra with his pace. You look at Woody as well, bowling speed like Sam with a different angle. We've got so many different options we could go with. It's really exciting.